In today's video, I want to go over some recently announced PlayStation 4 games, some very exciting new games. A brand new Guilty Gear will be coming out. That was just announced at EVO. We got a brand new platformer that looks really cool. And Guilty Gear isn't the only fighting game we got details on. Granblue Fantasy Versus has gotten a launch date for Japan. Maybe that'll give us an idea of when to expect the game over here in the States. And also, with Granblue Fantasy Versus coming out early next year, you would have to think that Granblue Fantasy Relink, the big JRPG, would come out shortly thereafter. So I'll give you guys my speculation on that. As we're heading into the holiday season, I know a lot of you guys are excited for Borderlands 3, Death Stranding, maybe Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Whatever the case may be, one game that not a lot of people are talking about is The Surge 2, and I did want to highlight a trailer that was released recently. In the Overcome, Upgrade, and Survive trailer gives us an insight on what to expect out of a lot of the mechanics out of the game, so we'll highlight that. Alright, first up, let's go over the newly announced Guilty Gear game. Now, we don't have much details on it. It was just announced that a new Guilty Gear game would be coming in 2020, and a trailer was shown off at EVO, and the trailer looking as stylish as ever. I love the Guilty Gear art style. I think it's flashy, I think it's vibrant. Much like Dragon Ball FighterZ, it just has that very unique aesthetic appeal, and I think Guilty Gear has always had that, especially with some of the more recent releases. We'll see how this game turns out. Generally speaking, is Guilty Gear one of the best received fighting games out of all of the fighting games that have been released this gen? Not necessarily. However, Arc System Works have been doing a tremendous job with all of their fighting games, and I can see a lot of potential coming out of this one. And another Guilty Gear title, hey, I'm excited to check that out. Now, we don't even have an official name for this one. It was just called Guilty Gear, and that's a little surprising considering they are committed to a 2020 release window. Whenever you have one of these instances where a game doesn't even have a confirmed title yet, that usually means it's a long ways away, but in this case, they haven't established the official name yet. They probably internally know the official name, or they've got a couple of working ideas, but for whatever reason, they decided not to reveal that at EVO. You can also view a set of screenshots outside of the trailer, and yeah, the game is shaping up pretty nicely, and even as someone like me that's not a big fan of fighting games, I'm pretty captivated out of what I saw, so I'm excited to give that a go when it releases sometime in 2020. I imagine that would be a later 2020 release, but who knows? This would be the kind of game that I think would be perfect for an early 2020 release as well, right before everybody gets geared up for the next generation consoles. And then you know what you can do. You all know what you can do. You can release all that DLC a year down the line. You can release the complete edition on the PlayStation 5, and you can make a little bit of extra revenue that way. I mean, I've come to expect things like this. Shouldn't be a surprise to the majority of you guys when something like that does happen. I'm just waiting on my Dragon Ball FighterZ complete edition so I can get back into that game and not drop a bunch of cash on all of the season passes. Alright, next up, I also want to give a shout out to the planetary platformer Gravity Ghost. That is landing on the PlayStation 4 tomorrow with exclusive new content. Gravity Ghost is a peaceful platformer where you use orbits and gravity to explore a hand-painted galaxy. You might find yourself bouncing off tiny Jupiters, smashing through glass planets, or plunging deep into a water planet to collect a missing star. Gravity Ghost is also the story of a 12-year-old ghost girl named Iona who is searching for her lost friend, the Ghost Fox. It's part ghost story, part coming-of-age tale, and it tends to haunt people in a good way. The critical reception so far has been pretty incredible, and the game enjoys a 95% positive rating on Steam, which is generally, you know, reviews coming in from the consumers, and I like to put a little bit more emphasis on that given that the game was already released on PC and people have been playing it. There will also be 2,000 physical copies of Gravity Ghost Deluxe Edition released, and that'll be available through limited run games. I know a lot of you guys are collectors of those titles, so that's something to check out as well. As far as what's new in this Deluxe Edition, brand new content with 13 all-new challenge levels. You've got playable Void the Fox, light bar support, and some other content in there as well. So again, Gravity Ghost is dropping tomorrow. I know a lot of you guys have been complaining about the lack of game releases this summer. However, there have been a couple of quirky little titles that if you do want to check out, if you're open-minded to trying a couple of different games, Gravity Ghost seems like one that could be rather enjoyable, although tomorrow there are a couple of other interesting titles, so this actually does have a little bit of competition come tomorrow, but nonetheless a pretty interesting new title. Next up, outside of Guilty Gear, we've also got some details on Granblue Fantasy Versus. That'll be dropping February 6, 2020 in Japan. Granblue Fantasy has been confirmed to launch for PlayStation 4 on February 6, 2020 in Japan. Publisher Psy Games and developer Arc System Works announced at Granblue Extra Festival 2019 in Osaka. Now that's pretty incredible considering that Arc System Works really has their plate full with all of these projects that they're working on, creating DLC, whatever the case may be. This release date for Granblue Fantasy Versus is a delay from its previously planned 2019 release window. Pre-orders will begin on August 5th, so that is today. A Western release is planned via publisher Xseed Games in North America and Marvelous Europe Europe in Europe, but a release date has yet to be officially announced. Generally speaking, with these fighting games, it's not a long crossover, and seeing these games being translated from their Japanese release to their Western release, so I could very well see this come out maybe sometime early summer of 2020. Definitely, again, another title I would get out before the release of the PlayStation 5. They also detailed the various editions. There's a physical edition, there's the premium edition, and then they also detailed the character pass set that is going to include the unlock rights to 5 characters due out post-release, plus the lobby avatar. Outside of that, there's a PlayStation 4 system theme included as well, but yes, another fighting game with a season pass. I feel like if you're a fighting game without a season pass or without a ton of DLC content, that is absolutely shocking in 2019 going into 2020, kind of the world we live in at this point. Alright, next up, as we head into this holiday season where there are so many games coming out from Borderlands 3, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Death Stranding, Call of Duty, I can go on and on and on. One game that is going a little bit under the radar is Deck 13's The Surge 2. We got a brand new trailer for the game in the Overcome, Upgrade, and Survive trailer showcasing new weapons, environments, enemies, big bosses, and moves. Now, The Surge is a game that I actually had a rather bit of fun with. Of course, Deck 13's titles see a lot of resemblance to the Souls titles, and rightfully so. There's a lot of comparisons you can make, but I also feel like they have their own unique, authentic flair, and with The Surge, it has a very unique sci-fi setting, so that automatically adds a new layer to the gameplay and presentation. And while I thought Lords of the Fallen had its issues, I thought Surge was a much better game, and I thought it remedied a lot of those issues. Hopefully with the Surge 2, they just continue building and they offer an even more compelling product. As far as the Surge is concerned, the Surge's iconic fast-paced combat and unique limb targeting and looting mechanisms return for a dynamic combat experience that is as rewarding as it is unforgiving. Experience brand new, bigger, more lively environments. Jericho City is a massive location packed with secret passages, buildings, factions, friends, foes, and terrifying bosses. Abandoned, half-finished megastructures sit alongside ostensibly serene parks that have become nanomachine hunting grounds. As you progress through this nightmare, earn tech scrap and equipment pieces by tearing off enemy limbs to equip them to your exo-rig. As the nanomachine infestation eats Jericho City, new horrific amalgamations of man and machine roam the streets as gangs, the government, and cultists war for control over the most valuable areas. Suit up and try to survive this chaos and triumph. The Surge 2 is due out on September 24th. I don't think there's another massive game released around the same time. I believe Borderlands 2 comes a little before that on September 13th, and then you've got games like Catherine Classic Edition and a bunch of other games. There's AI Subminium Foss, but those are smaller games. September is looking pretty good for game release, and if you compare it to what we've been getting over these summer months, man, it is a far cry. It is a gigantic improvement, and again, while it's highlighted by Borderlands 3, I think the Surge 2 could turn out to be a standout game, and if they deliver here, I think it's going to get a lot of attention because Sekiro, while it was a great game, some people were a little off-put by it given its difficulty, but I think the Surge 2, given its presentation, given the cool setting, I think it could captivate some gamers. As long as they put out a really good product here and it's at the caliber of the Souls titles, I think this could turn out really well from a commercial standpoint, not only critical. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, a brand new Guilty Gear game has been announced. We don't have a ton of details, but we do know that the game is going to be coming sometime in 2020, and so far the visuals we've seen have looked rather slick. The planetary platformer Gravity Ghost is landing on the PlayStation 4 tomorrow, and it's coming with brand new content. Granblue Fantasy Versus has got a launch date of February 6th in Japan. I imagine it'll be out some point in the first half of 2020 over here in the States. And The Surge 2 is one game I recommend you guys to keep your eyes on. It will be coming September 24th. Do check out the Overcome, Upgrade, and Survive trailer for yourself. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.